The Freego E10 Pro is an overpriced mess that offers very little for the $900 you're supposed to pay for it. I try to look for the good in all the products I review, but the sad reality is that there are very few redeeming features of this scooter. Even if it were priced lower, like multiple hundreds of dollars lower, I wouldn't be able to recommend it, so even suggesting that you might want to spend almost $1,000 on this would be just insulting and deceptive. At the very least, the scooter offers an interesting look at how not to design an electric scooter. The E10 Pro's most interesting feature, and the only feature that aligns with other scooters in this price range, is its top speed. Its advertised top speed of 25 miles an hour gives it the potential to be a lot of fun in a small package, but the low build quality and general instability makes it sketchy once you get up to those speeds. The one other feature I was mildly happy with was the solid tires. Those familiar with this channel will know my stance on tubed tires, and if this scooter had to deal with flats on top of everything else wrong with it, it would have gone straight into the trash. So why is this scooter such a mess and not worth its price? Terrible unboxing experience aside, basically every negative thing that I've pointed out in other scooter review videos can be found on this scooter. It honestly feels like someone scanned my brain for all the things I hate and put it into one device. So let's do the usual thing and start from the top of the scooter and work our way down so I can show you what I mean. First off, the handlebars are super narrow. Narrow handlebars make controlling a scooter difficult, especially one that can go as fast as the E10 can. Having your elbows jammed into your ribs while you ride doesn't exactly make for an enjoyable riding experience. I'm quite picky with handlebar grips, and these handlebar grips are those awful thin slide-on ones that can rotate around the bars when you grip them. The thumb throttle is pretty standard and not noteworthy in any way, though I do want to note that I dislike thumb throttles in general. But it's pretty normal for most sub $1,000 scooters to have one, so I can't complain too much about it. The single brake lever indicates that there's just a single mechanical brake. Not having a dual mechanical braking system on an almost $1,000 scooter is a sin in itself, but it gets worse when you realize that the included brake is a front drum brake. Don't get me wrong, I think drum brakes can be a fine choice on cheaper scooters with low top speeds, but at the price and speeds of this scooter, the drum brake is nothing but corner cutting to save money. Drum brakes have issues with thermal dissipation and can have issues with braking effectiveness on extended braking sessions like on a section of downhill. The drum brake is supported by electronic braking on the rear wheel, so for most situations, braking works fine without major issues. This is more about the principle of it. This scooter absolutely should have dual disc brakes at the very least. A scooter that relies on electronic braking in addition to the mechanical braking for most of its stopping power can make for some very aggressive and jerky braking, which is the case with this scooter. The construction of the scooter does nothing to inspire confidence, and while I understand that this is supposed to be a lightweight, portable scooter, it is possible to make a quality scooter that's also light, which isn't the case here. This feels like the lowest quality metal that you could have possibly used to just barely keep the scooter together, and all the parts on this just feel lousy and cheap. It has a few glaring quality issues, the largest of these being the stem lock. Even when the clamp is tightened down properly, the stem still has a lot of play and wiggle. It gets worse though when you look closely at the lock itself and realize that the only thing keeping the scooter from collapsing down in the middle of your ride is this tiny plastic clip. The folding lock has issues closing, requiring you to whack it a couple times to even get this little plastic clip to latch on to the other little plastic piece. The E10 Pro has front suspension, but it has a tiny amount of travel and is hardly noticeable when actually riding. There's no rear suspension at all. High speeds combined with the generally flimsy feel of the scooter make me really wish that there was some better suspension to handle potholes and such. The caps on the front suspension fork just kind of popped off and started to slide up the stanchions when I rode it. Just added to the cheapy corner cutting vibe this scooter gives off. The riding platform is one of the smallest I've ever tried, barely fitting my feet. Having to keep my back foot sideways is annoying, and there's no rear footrest, though you can kind of lean your foot against the rear mudguard like this. I really couldn't get my feet into a position where I felt comfortable for extended rides. All of the quality issues that I've mentioned are even more apparent once you get on the scooter and ride it. I don't shy away from high-speed riding, and I don't shy away from what many would consider to be dangerous speeds or dangerous riding conditions. However, getting this scooter up to its max speed felt like a whole nother level of danger that I wasn't comfortable getting into because I didn't trust the scooter to not fall apart on me while I rode. It feels unstable, and after doing this 32-mile-per-hour downhill run to test the top speed, I stayed away from speeds over 20 miles an hour for the most part. The E10 Pro is also a kick-to-start scooter, requiring you to get the scooter moving before the throttle engages. Not having the option to switch to zero start acceleration is another negative for me. The E10 Pro has a bit of an odd acceleration curve, accelerating from zero super slowly for like a second or two before the actual acceleration kicks in. This delay is so bad that I often thought that I just hadn't gotten the scooter up to a high enough speed for the kickstart to engage. Then when this was happening every time I would take off from a standstill, I realized that it was an issue with the acceleration of the scooter. Despite its decent top speed, the scooter has the same issues as other single motor scooters when it comes to hill climbing. This thing slows down significantly on any sort of uphill grade and slowed down under 10 miles an hour on the usual test hill. During the range test, there was some moderate headwind on the second half of the ride, and it just completely tanked my speed, like way more than a bit of wind should have. The motor just doesn't have the power behind it that it feels like a $900 scooter should have. And speaking of range tests, this scooter got only 10 miles of range in the max speed mode, which is absurdly poor. It makes sense though when you see that it only has a 6 amp hour battery. You can download an app that connects to this scooter, but it's almost not even worth mentioning because it's annoying to use and offers almost no additional features for the scooter. I could complain some more about this, and I've honestly cut out a lot of my thoughts about it to avoid sounding repetitive, but the bottom line is that this is a scooter that I wouldn't dream of ever recommending to anyone, and this won't be a scooter that I'll be riding any longer. The whole time testing it, all I could think was, please don't break, please don't snap in half, please don't kill me. I just wanted to get off of it as soon as I got on it. This really is just e-waste at the end of the day, and it's the most disappointing scooter I've ever reviewed. It also doesn't help that I just reviewed what are now my two favorite sub $1,000 scooters on the market in the NIU KQi2 and KQi3. Those seem like luxury cars compared to this scooter and are $200 to $400 cheaper. So go check out the review for those if you're in the market for a high quality scooter at a great price. Get subbed for more e-scooter and PEV content. Leave a comment letting me know what you thought of this video, and I will see you in the next one.